Alright, settle down, folks. Because I'm about to drop some truth bombs, so potent, they'll make your brokerage account tingle. Many of you, bless your ambitious little hearts, constantly ask me for the secret to getting rich, and I tell you the truth, I really do. But here's the kicker. Nobody ever believes me, and why? Because it's not some get-rich quick scheme with flashy cars and private jets. It's far more boring, far more patient, and honestly, a little counterintuitive. You see, investing, it's not just important, it's like the air you breathe for your future self. And let me tell you, the earlier you get on this train, the smoother your ride. But today, we're not just talking about any old investing. Oh no, we're diving headfirst into the glorious, often misunderstood world of dividend growth investing. Now, I personally, with every fiber of my 25-year-old financial guru being, believe this is the best damn route for anyone with a long time horizon. And don't even try to tell me you're too old. Even if you're a seasoned 40-year-old, you still have a solid chunk of time to let those payments and investments do their thing. Like a finely aged wine, I'm absolutely obsessed with dividend growth for a few solid reasons. First up, let's talk about that looming shadow called retirement. Right, the big R word, one of the biggest fears. And trust me, I hear it all the time, is getting to retirement, having meticulously saved every penny in the SP 500, and then, boom, market crash. Just like that, your hard-earned $1,000,000 is suddenly 700,000, maybe even 800,000. Still not chump change, I get it. But that's a pretty steep, heart-stopping drop. And what does that mean? It means you might be stuck working several more years just to get back to square one. Years you should be spending sipping margaritas on a beach, or, enjoying your family without the constant financial dread. But with dividends, my friends, you don't have that headache. You're practically immune to that market crash drama. Don't take it from me. I'm just a baby in the dividend game, barely making enough to buy myself a fancy coffee. Take it from the OGs, the real dividend heavyweights. Take my buddy, Dividendology for instance. A total legend I've learned a ton from, and someone I talk about on this channel constantly. He's got about $200,000 chilling in his investment portfolio, and right now, that little beauty pays him about $6,000 a year, passively. Now, during a market crash, he lost like $25,000 to $30,000 in his portfolio's value. Pretty brutal, right? But guess what? He was still raking in the exact same amount in dividends. Think about it. A solid company, a truly established one, isn't just going to pull the plug on dividends because of a little market turbulence, especially if they've been paying them consistently for decades and have built a reputation for it. It's like, hey, we're a serious business here. We got this. In the same vein, truly good companies, the ones that have been around the block a few times, they're not just going to vanish into thin air because of a few bad months. The simple truth, the reason they can keep those dividends flowing is because they can afford it. Duh. When you've got a rock-solid company with consistent cash flow, and even better, a low payout ratio, you won't even have to sweat about losing out on that sweet, sweet dividend income. It's practically guaranteed. Remember that Constellation Energy I talked about in the last video. They pulled in, get this, around $1 billion in a single quarter, and their entire yearly dividend payout, it was only about $400 million. So in just one quarter, they made enough to cover their entire annual dividend multiple times over. That, my friends, is what we call financial agen. You don't have to take my word for it. The numbers don't lie. Just look at the stats. In the last video, we chatted about Lowe's 61 years straight of paying and raising their dividend. 61, that's through the 73-74 oil crisis Black Monday. In 1987, the dot-com bubble burst. The 2008 housing market crash, COVID, and most recently, this whole tariff madness. These guys have seen it all, and they just keep on chugging along. So, you see, you might lose a significant chunk of paper value in your portfolio, but your dividend income, that steady stream of cash, remains the same. You're practically invincible to market volatility. It's like having a superpower. But for your money, now, let's talk about what I absolutely despise, and that's high-paying dividend companies with zero, zip, nada, dividend growth, their equity curve. It's basically just a straight, flat line. Yeah, you'll get solid, consistent dividends, but they only go up if you keep feeding them more money. And guess what else? Your dividends get eaten alive by inflation over time. So, in reality, you're not making more, you're actually making less. It's a slow, agonizing financial death by 1,000 paper cuts. Compare that to dividend growth, where the equity curve starts low, sure, but then it shoots up, skyrocketing like an exponential function. It's like watching a tiny seed turn into a giant money-spewing tree. Not only will you make significantly more in dividends in the long run compared to those high-yield, no-growth duds, but you can also outpace inflation. And let me tell you, outsmarting inflation is like winning the financial lottery. You're protecting your hard-earned cash, keeping it safe from the silent thief. Now, With all that being said, you absolutely, unequivocally need a solid time horizon for this magic to happen. It's not an overnight miracle, but trust me, it's worth the wait. I'll show you an example in a bit, but first, let's talk about the super cool dividend growth pyramid. When you start diving into dividend growth, you might stumble upon this gem, the dividend growth pyramid. This one, from Dividend Growth Investing on YouTube, brilliantly highlights companies and ETFs at different tiers. The idea is simple. The bottom tiers pay the highest yield, but have the least amount of growth, and as you climb up, the growth gets much higher, but the initial yield goes down. It is more of a guide, a map for your financial adventure, depending on your situation. Now, these are mostly solid established companies or ETFs, so picking any one of them isn't a bad move. Some closer to the top are practically celebrities in the dividend growth world, think Visa, Lowe's, and SHD. But in his video, he gives a quick, easy-to-understand guideline for navigating this pyramid. These numbers are a bit arbitrary, but they give you a good starting point if you've got 1 to 3 years until you want to officially hang up your work boots. Invest in companies at the bottom of the pyramid, so you can capitalize on those juicy high yields, 3 to 5 years, go a step up, 5 to 10 years, climb another step, and after that, my friends, that's where the real party begins, where you start seeing seriously good returns if you have 10 to 20 years until retirement. Go a step up into the 9 to 12% growth CAGR range. If you saw the picture, we're talking powerhouses like Microsoft and Home Depot, or ETFs like SHD or DJRO. And if you're a true long-term player, with 20+ years, you can go all the way to the top, investing in companies with a 12+ dividend growth CAGR, Costco, Visa, and Lowe's. These are the heavy hitters, the champions of consistent growth, and I truly, genuinely believe they are all fantastic choices. But, I'm legally obligated to say, this isn't financial advice, wink wink. Now, if you are going down the dividend route, and I highly urge you to consider it, you absolutely need to think about using the DRIP method. DRIP stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You automatically reinvest your dividends to buy more shares. It's like magic, but with numbers, and I'll show you in an example how this seemingly small act can exponentially shrink the amount of time it takes for you to hit your dividend income goals. I want to show you an example that truly highlights the immense power of dividend growth investing. I got this from Dividendology. I'm just kind of retelling his brilliance here, but honestly, it was one of the most insightful videos I've ever seen on this concept. He basically just used a calculator to simulate 10, 20, 30 years into the future. He started with a $10,000 initial investment, a price growth rate of 7%, a dividend growth rate of 8.5%, a dividend yield of 3.5%, and get this, no monthly contributions whatsoever. He was actually basing this off of SHD, and he was being pretty conservative. Both the price growth rate and the dividend growth rate of SHD over the past 10 years have been over 10%, so he was actually lowballing it. But even with his conservative numbers, if you use the DRIP strategy after just 10 years, you'd be making about $100 every single month completely passively. After 20 years, you're looking at over $300 a month, and at year 23, you'd be making $500 every single month with a total account value of $120,000. And here's where it gets really wild. Just 5 years later, at year 28, you'd be raking in $1,000 a month. You would literally be making more every single year than the amount you initially, and if you set it up so all your dividends got reinvested automatically, you wouldn't even have to look at it after your initial $10,000 investment. That, my friends, is the definition of completely passive income. It's like planting a money tree and watching it grow, and if you were paying attention, you could see the snowball effect kicking in. It took 23 years to make $500 a month, but only 5 years to double that to $1,000. That, my friends, is the power of compounding. On steroids? Again, this is assuming you reinvest those dividends. If you don't, it would take 30 years, and you'd still only be making $300 a month, which, isn't bad, but 30 years for 300 versus 28 for 1,000. The DRIP strategy is looking pretty darn good. Wouldn't you agree now? I know this assumes a few things, and I know having to wait 20 to 30 years might not sound like the most exciting prospect, especially in our instant gratification world, but it's just an example, a vivid illustration of the sheer power of dividend growth. However, there is a way to slightly combat this waiting game, and that's by also making monthly contributions. If you contribute $250 a month, assuming all the other stats stay exactly the same, it will only take you 14 years to hit $500 a month. That's almost half the time as the previous example. Still 14 years, but half the time. That's a serious acceleration, right? I highly recommend both of those channels, Dividendology and Dividend Growth Investing, and I'll link their videos that I referenced in the description below. But I just wanted to take a moment to gush about how absolutely awesome dividend growth investing can be. Remember this. The earlier the better, that is the golden rule. But even if you don't have a ton of time on your side, you can still start. It is never too late to plant that financial seed. And it doesn't even have to be dividend investing specifically. You can just put your money into a broad market index like the SP 500. That's also a solid move. But something else I love about dividend investing, something I didn't mention earlier, is that you don't have to sell any of your assets. So you can keep your wealth and then pass it on to your family, and they can continue earning that beautiful dividend income. It's like a generational wealth machine, a legacy you leave behind, regardless of your current situation, and whatever path you choose to take. I truly wish you the best of luck. If you got anything at all out of this video, even if it was just something to watch while you ate your lukewarm ramen, please consider leaving a comment. I absolutely love interacting and having conversations with all of you amazing people. Oh, and by the way, we won this game. I went 15, and stay boring. Stay patient. Peace.